Welcome to One Way to Machines and the B7 Audi RS4 series.
Everything you see in the car is gently placed on conditioned leather and it's not pinching any wires or damaging anything. This is the passenger headlight, which was the worst of the two, and after many days of not dropping below 800 grit wet sanding and then working all the way up to 3000 wet and then polishing, it looks decently good. So I'm happy with that. With the parts, there's parts in that box and here. We've got another parts box in the back. I'm not going to say anything positive or negative about any of the suppliers in the Audi S and RS community at this point. I don't know which companies are going to support the channel or not in the future. So all I'm going to say is you guys can't expect what I had said about all the parts that I said I was going to replace at this point. They will eventually be replaced on this car, but we're going to do something more interesting with this. So what I've been forced to do at this point is to source parts from random suppliers and the dealer to get the bare minimum of things we need to put back together. Now, why are we going to do this? So here we are at the annoying wet sanding table. What I'm going to say is, with the driver's side headlight, you guys have seen in previous walk around videos, it's in pretty good shape. But I am going to, on my own time, spend some 800 wet and slowly move through that one. But the main thing was the fog lamps. Fortunately, this part number is the same as A4s and S4s, and there are replacements. Automotive Lighting is the OE supplier, so I don't know if all the bracketry is going to match up, but stay tuned and I'll tell you why you should maybe just buy new ones if you can find them. So this is as far finished as I'm going to get with these. I'm not going to go any crazier. I am going to film them so that they don't get more chipped and all damaged, right? But here's what I'll say. Automotive Lighting definitely uses a much stronger compound, thicker on the fog lights because they're lower and they're going to get damaged more. So wet sanding with 800, I dropped to 600, 320. I, believe it or not, working down the grits, I even wet sanded with 80 grit, the one that was really bad. And it still didn't get down. It did leave some scratches because I knew I was doing something ridiculous. I have sanded lots of headlights in the past, and I knew that that was a crazy move to do. But it's not even that bad. I mean, I got most of the 80 grit scratches out. Never try that. You can't pry those lenses off. It's an extremely strong seal, and you will damage stuff unless you have some kind of crazy plastic puller tool. You can't put these in any kind of a vise. You will break all of the plastic tabs. So if they really are interchangeable, the main reason you might think they're not interchangeable is because these fog lights look a lot nicer in the RS4 grills, like what we have here. So at the end of the day, it could just be a product of, it's the same part in a parts bin, but it just looks nicer in the RS4 housings. So part number is the same. It's your choice. In the future, if this channel continues and everything, I will buy some A4 ones or just take them off of another A4 parts car, and we'll see if they are a direct match. But if you've got serious pitting on the fog lights, not worth it. The headlights have similar pitting, but it's sanded out a lot better. Okay, I mean, it's worth the effort to put in for those because you can get them out unless your headlights are really trashed. In which case, I still don't know if VX Tuning is making new lenses, but that's something you guys got to figure out. So eventually, I mean, the one I worked it from 80 all the way through to 3000. So I was here pretty pissed off for a long time working on these. They're okay. They're good enough for me to use. They're low enough that you don't need to care too much about them. And you guys have seen in the fog light videos that I had way back when, maybe a year or so ago, the output is still pretty good out of these lights. Like, it does make a difference in your driving. So that's where I kind of am with that stuff, you know. Yeah, polishing stuff and whatever tools I have. I got a lot of stuff going on here. So what are we going to do with this stuff? The belt tensioner, I'm going to put the old one back because I really want to find out, is this whole thing that mechanics always say to change it a myth or not? I don't know if that belt tensioner is hydraulic or spring loaded yet. I don't have enough to cut it open and find out, but I'm gonna put it back and we'll see if it works. I mean, I have done some innovative / crazy stuff with hanging the electronic module at the front there, but the way I've looked at it, I can turn this car on in service position. I mean, even without the headlights in there, this car throws all kind of leveling sensors and has had issues with the headlights since before I got the car. So I'm not too concerned about that. That's stuff that can be sorted out later, if anything. But I'm going to start the car. I mean, if there's no serious pressure on coolant lines or anything else, once I look at it a little more closely, but I have, that we're just going to run it like this and we'll see what works and what didn't work. In terms of sourcing all of those coolant hoses that are on this side, I told you I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to say anything positive, negative about any suppliers or whatever yet. But we're going to put a lot of those hoses back because I do think it was one of the ones closer to the water pump. And the more important part here is that what we have saw in the more findings video, and for those of you that have followed all the repair removal videos, is that what I want to do is find out where that leak was from. Okay, we're trying to I don't know, one of the interesting parts of this channel, I want it to be that even if I have to throw parts or take a million things apart, we get the diagnosis part down, no matter how many steps it takes me. Okay, if a proper shop would have diagnosed this in 10 seconds, I could care less. But you, by following this, will find out where was the problem, where should I possibly look for the problem in my car. And this one could have honestly been your professional shops with putting that stupid sealant in all of those gasket rings, whatever they're called, little gaskets, the green ones, the black ones, everything there, who actually caused all of these problems. It's not even a fault of the car. Like, I know people with these 300,000 kilometers haven't missed a beat. They haven't done any of these kind of services. They're using their original coolant hoses and everything. Now, on the forums, there are experienced people. That one L-shaped coolant hose that has a check valve in it, I wanted to change that, but I'm not paying dealer prices yet on this stuff, okay? Until some of these suppliers, I can possibly manage a relation with them or be closer to them at some point to actually go visit them and see what I can do, because these cars are complex, a lot of parts, and this hose you see here on the hood, this is the one that I had a ton of trouble with, okay? And I'll insert some pictures here. As you can see on the sheathing, there is a part number. So these OE sheaths, they could be your ticket to a lot of headache saving, because even on 7-Zap, man, some of the hoses do not look like they do in real life. Those diagrams from Audi, I mean, I'm nothing against 7-Zap, okay? They give us the actual part number, all right? When you click on it, the number and the part number. Audi only gives you the number. So when you call a dealer, like I went back and forth with my local dealer a whole ton, all right, earlier, and what they do is that they go through the parts diagram, the Audi parts diagram with you, and you just tell them what number you want. Then buddy over there looks through his stuff and gets the part numbers, and then when he has the part numbers, he gives you just a big list of part numbers and tells you this is what you need to buy, make your deposit payment. So there's some break there so that you don't take their part numbers and run off to somebody else. So 7-Zap is still a great resource, but they're still using the Audi diagrams just with a bit more information. And the Audi diagrams, quite frankly, are quite pathetic, okay? So what you want to do is just follow them. That part number on this hose, I'm pretty sure I have to get this one from the dealer. It comes with a short piece of aluminum hose that goes under it. And I'm going to have to get this one from the dealer with the part number. I'm not even going to ask them questions, because most of the parts counter people at Audi dealerships, they tell you they've never even heard of this car, okay? They're just some young junior kids who just got a job selling parts, and they probably don't know anything past the B9. Unless you're in a place, I mean, there are parts counter people who have a lot of experience. I have experienced that with other brands before, but a lot of times the whole go to Home Depot and get the paint expert's advice. Like, I tell people, come on, you gotta These are people with normal jobs, okay? They're not people who've wrenched on an Audi before. Probably never will. Now, all right, let's get back on topic. I'm not going to just rant and hate on everyone. There are people who can do this stuff properly, all right? Okay, so this parts piss off that I have, all right? This hose I will source from the dealer. What we're going to do with the other stuff, the tensioner, there's no bearing sounds. We're going to put it back. We're going to see if that 173,000 kilometer Canadian winter driven rusted tensioner is going to lose tension, as BMW mechanic YouTubers, professional YouTubers have always said loses tension. So that'll be a test. If we run this car in service position and any of these things make weird noises or don't work, we're going to turn the car off, order the correct parts, put it back together. And the main point that I almost forgot was the reason I really want to put this thing together and get it running at least right now is because my fuel is getting old. I don't know how good that ethanol stuff that we had in a previous video is going to be for my car, because I also don't know the quality of fuel of the gas station I pumped at, that last half a tank, full tank that I have in here. If my ratio was right, this could quickly turn this car into another $5,000 if I can't diagnose fuel problems afterwards. Okay, these cars have sensitive fuel systems, high pressure fuel pumps, high pressure injectors, all the lines, the problems you've heard of with the fuel filters that I've already covered on this channel. I don't want any of that. So I want this car to run, and I don't even care if I don't get it out of this garage. I'm going to run it through half a tank in here. I'll rev it up. These cars have 3 radiators. They better work, okay? So, yeah, we're going to reuse a bunch of the old coolant hoses. Not going to waste the time because every supplier has 1 or 2 of these hoses. I mean, it's so weird. Getting in contact with them is not the nicest walk in the park, okay? So, no bias against or for anybody, but German car life, you guys better get used to it for those of you that are more novice thinking about getting an S4 or an RS4. A lot of the viewers here already know about this stuff who are on the forums, and like they're probably not even watching the whole video. But for more of you novices, these things I'm telling you are important to save you a lot of headache, all right, going forward. You better have money to own one of these. It's not something, and not even money. You need to have money and patience and be willing to deal with BS and annoyance. You can't just think, oh, I got a ton of money, let me do it. Even when you go to the dealer, they'll tell you they have parts, and then all of a sudden, oh, this one piece is back ordered. This one piece is in this warehouse in this country, and we have to wait for it. You got to be ready for this stuff. Doesn't matter how much money you have, okay? This is also one reason I'm not ordering all the parts all together at once, because I know I've been through this so many times with German cars that I'm not doing it again. And plus, I want to keep this channel going. I don't want it to become stagnant and you guys hear from this car again in 8 months from now. Okay? So, there's a bunch of parts in there. You guys know what it all is. I've done numerous videos on this stuff. A lot of other stuff is nicely tucked back here. So, that's something from the Volvo over there on the left. But all these are Audi parts. Everything is nice and clean. And the great fortune you guys will have, okay, if I'm able to get this car back together with the minimal parts, which I'll show you when I get them, if it runs again, if we put it back together again, is you guys can see that a lot of these parts were original because we took them out, and how long they're going to last, because I don't plan on getting rid of this car. But I'll bite my tongue there, okay? I don't know anything about that. No, the car will stay, all right? This will also be a great test for you guys that water pump that I've gone into every crack detail problem with it. How long do those things really last? Because that is, from the sticker, it's a very old water pump, okay? Now, until somebody starts making more parts for these, or that water pump outside casing, I mean, there was one supplier that had the... Alright, I told you I'm not going to talk about the suppliers, okay? Because I don't know what business practices any of them are really following. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to tell you anything about water pump availability anymore. I'm not going to tell you anything about the support. But we are going to just reseal that water pump. We are going to reseal the aluminum crossover pipes and all that kind of stuff, and we're just going to put it back together and see what happens. The easy part for you guys is to watch, and the sorry chump part for me is going to be in the case that if I put it together and even if it works, if all these old parts start leaking again, I'm the one that has to take this body shop special car back into service position and fix a whole bunch of stuff on it. But that's on me. There's a YouTube channel, so that's the great thing about doing this. But if I did not have YouTube, okay, and for those of you who aren't, I don't know, doing YouTube or something else or flipping these cars, don't do this, okay? Wait for the parts, leave your car in service position, put all new parts on it. You don't want to be digging back in here for all these small issues that can pop up quite soon again. So, seals, oil cooler O-rings. I remember when I talked to the dealer, like $130 per O-ring. We're talking about the O-ring that I could probably use something from an AC kit for. Not that the compound on that is going to be correct, but I did find them fortunately online on one of the aftermarket suppliers, and I think I can get a genuine set for a decent price, far less than what the dealer quoted me for those baby O-rings. That's what I'm saying. The dealer is going to have some of the coolant hoses. When you try to price them out, they're going to be more than what the aftermarket, all of our known websites for German cars are going to have. But then all of a sudden, they're going to have one part where you're going to go, what? It's going to be way more expensive than it should be or is on those other sites. And vice versa. Those sites are going to have parts that are ridiculously overpriced, whereas you can get them in other places. So you really got to mix and match, shop around until you find the right parts for all this stuff. I mean, if you guys go yourselves, search thousands of these parts websites, they'll sell the thermostat housing versus the water pump for pricing differences that make no sense. They have money grabs in certain parts. Okay, these are all businesses. I don't know who's going to ever sponsor this or not. Okay, I might buy parts forever for all my cars on this channel just to keep this channel maybe different and original. Okay, not be some sellout. In terms of the flap sensor too, you know what? This car is a total experiment car for me at this point. I don't consider this one of my great cars that I like for myself, that I bought for myself. No, I don't even care if this car blows up anymore, okay? This is a pure test car. We're going to get products, tunes, whatever, fix a bunch of stuff, not fix it, and we'll see what happens. And I'm very confident this car is tough, and with me doing things properly, it'll be totally fine. So the flap sensor, we're going to put the old one back on, and we're going to do the vacuum test. I'm not going to order the new flap sensor because prices are all over the board with that, okay? And I also don't want one coming from somebody closer to me, these local part suppliers that don't know anything about German cars, giving me something that's been sitting on a shelf for 15 years, okay? So I can't trust anybody with these electronic components, anything else. So we're going to put as much old stuff as we can back on this. Hoses that I've cut obviously are going to be replaced. And we'll see if she starts. So look forward to it. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Maybe we'll even put the wheels and all this stuff and get it out of service position and put it back on if it runs decently. But you guys can watch and see. But anything you do with your car is at your discretion, okay? All of this stuff, I don't follow service manuals. I do sometimes follow service manuals. But this is common sense, okay, which is not very common for most people. That is usually even better than the recommendations you will get from a mechanic who wants to take money from you. They'll make up stories so that you think, oh, I can't do it myself. Let me take it to these guys. And then when you do it and you get some good advice from some people, it works out. Now, on a more fortunate note, there are some of the people, again, I don't want to use anything strong for or against anybody, but there are good resources for us in the RS4 community, okay? We'll find out more about that in terms of my channel, but some of the people, if you guys have worked with them and you're scratching your head saying, hey, why is this guy being kind of negative in tone about most of the suppliers and tuners or whatever, that's not the case, okay? So if you've had good experiences, there's been lots of posts about good experiences, keep going with it, okay? You have more experience with this car than me. But I have these videos, I have this channel, and I try to help everybody. So with my ways, you'll see what happens, and so will I. So a bit of a different tone video, but I wanted to give you guys an update as to, because I got a lot of other stuff going on. I'm going to try to keep this channel going. Hopefully these channels are worth keeping going, and you guys do support it to the point where you subscribe enough that I can continue and you keep watching. Okay? Now there are also more limits. Already you see I don't have the comments to avoid a whole bunch of stuff on this channel that is not necessary. Okay, you want something to say, go on the forums. You can talk to me, you can talk to other people. There's people that know more about me, about these cars, and lots of other things there. Okay, so you got comments, questions, things wrong with your car. The forums are the places we need to keep alive as car people. I'm also going to remove embedding for any of my videos, so if you ever want to share or anything like that, go ahead and tell the people to just search my video in the search bar or yourself, because this new stuff with the bots taking people's videos and the traffic that comes into YouTube, I'm not even monetized yet, but the traffic that comes for my videos, say from the bot accounts on random websites where I don't know who's posting it, if YouTube recognizes odd activity like that, they'll demonetize your video. And all this effort I'm putting in, I gotta get paid a couple bucks for this eventually, okay? You would want to do the same thing. I mean, you guys, a lot of effort goes into these videos. It's much more annoying than you'd think when you're just wrenching on your car without a camera and focusing and lighting in your way. But I'm not complaining about any of this. I'm just saying, okay, no more embedding. Don't post the links because they won't work. You have to literally search for it on YouTube. So, I think I covered a lot of random stuff in this video. All stuff that's relevant to the channel. So, let's see what happens. Alright, I got some body work to do on some other cars. I don't know if I'm even going to post those videos. But I gotta go in a different place and get that stuff done. Possibly sell some stuff. And we'll see how these things continue to go. Let's try to get this thing before the snowfall at least running and a spin around the road. For those of you that made it through the video, great. And let's try to keep the B6, B7 stuff alive and going. It's up to you guys to view these videos to keep this channel going. And on an important note, yes, the headlights will also be getting their film on them. Okay, maybe later, because this car's probably not going to drive much until a lot of parts are replaced. But that SunTech clear coating, really go for it. It does not have bad light refraction. I have had it on the Volvo for a while, and it's been great. So we'll see how it goes with this one. Stay tuned for that part on the lighting series later on. But if you see these without a film, not that you'll be able to tell, I'll tell you guys, it's because it's just not time for that, and I want to possibly drive this thing and get that fuel out of the system and at least store it again with new fuel in the system. Because in Canada, we do not have ethanol-free fuel anymore. That stuff was gone last October. Okay, even the fuel in this car has been stabilized possibly, but I don't trust the oil companies. I don't trust the additives, none of that crap, okay? Especially when you have a car as sensitive as this with direct fuel injection, high pressures on everything, seals that can go bad. One seal can make you think your car is going to blow up, but it's not that big of a deal if you DIY properly and you can fix these cars, which is the point of this channel, is to show you that once your mechanical skills advance, okay, once you worked on your Toyotas and Hondas, you can manage a German car too, with a lot of patience and a slightly deeper pocket.